Good morning, everybody. Mirëmëngjesi. Dobar dan. We have more participants waiting in the waiting room, but for the respect of time of everybody, I would suggest to start and we can welcome people as we go. So, dear participants, on behalf of Partners Albania for Change and Development, good morning and welcome in today's forum. Thank you for joining us in this discussion about entrepreneurship support and development, which I believe will be informative, rich in exchange, and focused on opportunities and joint solutions. We are very pleased to see such a mixed attendance from all over the region, which in fact for us is also a sign of interest on the topic and the existence of a large community of entrepreneurs and active stakeholders in the ecosystem. We are very much honored to have today in the event distinguished representatives from all respective governments from the 6 Balkan countries, among them also our Minister for Entrepreneurship in Albania, entrepreneurs, investors, but also development programs. Sorry. And also other actors that support the field. We are very grateful to Mr. Patrick Lane from DG Grow and Ms. Trendafilova from Regional Cooperation Council for their time and contribution in today's event. Mr. Klein, Ms. Trendafilova, your presence means a lot for us. So thank you. Dear participants, as organizers of the event, we hope it will serve as a forward-looking forum, capitalizing on some very promising developments we see in the region and ongoing support from development partners. Despite remaining challenges at legal, financial, and capacity building aspects, we see progress in social entrepreneurship field compared, let's say, to 10 years ago, when social business gained a formal recognition from the European Commission with Social Business Initiative. Such progress is also noted in the latest Social Business Initiative report that has been issued last year. Today, we see that there is more available support infrastructure for startups and increasing awareness among state and non-state actors about social entrepreneurship in particular. Over the years, we have experienced a greater sense of self-initiative among stakeholders in the Western Balkans, especially at the meso level, being them supporting organizations, hubs, incubators, and accelerators. The Social Economy Summit in Mannheim, organized by the European Commission with the support of the German federal government, provided an important space for all stakeholders to discuss the future of social economy in Europe and rebringing into the EU agenda. It was an important space even for us in the Western Balkan actors in the social economy to promote developments, discuss challenges and potentials, but also build support and awareness. The COVID-19 emergency crisis highlighted the important contribution of social economy in mitigating pressing issues at community level. It provided also new opportunities for entrepreneurship, where startups responded to changing preferences and needs. According to the latest OECD report, innovative young firms have reacted fast and flexibly to the pandemic and have been critical in helping many countries shift towards fully digital work, education, and health services, and have provided innovations in medical goods and services. For all these reasons, we as local actors of the region should use this momentum to further advance the agenda of social entrepreneurship by joining our forces and voice for more effective advocacy strategy with institutions at national and European level, for better targeted and complementary support to startups addressing their growth and access to market needs. I believe that for supporting organizations in Western Balkans, collaborations with one another and networking and partnerships at European level have been an important factor of progress. It has been in these collaborations where we have gotten the inspiration, have enlarged our horizons about diversity in entrepreneurship, EU policy, have researched the field and built our advocacy efforts. And I'm very happy that today we have in this forum many of these partner organizations and networks. I would like to use the opportunity to extend our appreciation to the European network where we are a member, DIESIS. Thank you, DIESIS, for your effortless and generous support to social entrepreneurship agenda in the Balkan, but also your helping hand in organizing this forum. Dear participants, Partners Albania is an organization that supports entrepreneurship development and seek opportunities for growth. Is very happy to launch today its most recent endeavor in support of startups in the Balkans, called DUA Partner Invest. It was also featured in the video anticipating the start of the forum. DUA Partner Invest is a free collaborative platform, 100% Partners Albania investment, which captures our more than a decade working experience and lessons learned in support of entrepreneurship, involving state institutions responsible for fostering an environment conducive to entrepreneurship and innovation, donors and investors addressing demand for funding and know-how, but also research and policy alignment. DUA Partners Invest is designed as a collaborative platform, bringing together startups from Western Balkans, consultants, and funding and financing institutions. I believe that despite differences, Western Balkan countries have many similarities when it comes to challenges faced in developing the entrepreneurship ecosystem, meaning here capacity to self-organize, visibility and recognition, resources available, research, education, and skills development. The platform is designed to contribute to all of these elements of the ecosystem. And Partners Albania Invest facilitates connection with impact investors and a wide range of professional experts, organize pitches events based on the interest of the investors, but also funding opportunities. A great focus of the platform is put on promoting the work and impact of entrepreneurs, members of the platform. It provides updates on the latest regulatory and funding frameworks, regular networking and topical discussion events. DUA Partner Invest is looking for startups that tackle one or more sustainable development goals through their activity. And their work must have a social impact and help mitigate a social problem. Their products and services should be eco-friendly and environmentally sustainable. The platform has been operational for about 4 months now, and as of today, we have 30 registered startups and 67 business ideas looking for startup funding, 48 consultants and 6 investors from 11 countries. We hope that DUA Partner Invest will be an added value to many other contributions already taking place in the Western Balkans in support of startup development. With this, I would like to conclude my remarks, wishing you all an interesting and helpful exchange. And before I give the floor to our distinguished guests of the first panel, let me remind you once again about the ground rules. which have been already posted in the chat. So for all the ones that need translation, the forum is provides translation in all the languages of the Western Balkan countries, 6 countries, including English. And you should click the globe sign under interpretation to choose your language. After the first panel, we will break in 2 small working groups that will have 3 Balkan countries in each of them, where also translation will be provided, and the division in small working groups is going to be managed by us, the organizers, based on the selection coming from you. So with that, I would like to conclude and give the floor to Mr. Patrick Klein from DG Grow. Mr. Patrick Klein is team head of sector, social economy and social entrepreneurship, Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs. Mr. Klein has been working in different and varied positions within the DG Grow. Since 2015, he is head of social economy team within the DG Grow. His main activities focus on launching specific actions and projects in order to establish a more relevant ecosystem for the development of social economy enterprises. He also coordinates the European Commission's expert group, Social Economy and Social Enterprise, which aims to develop public policies in this area. He has previously worked in access to finance from 2002 to 2011, before joining the European Economic and Social Committee. Patrick has experience in the private sector, where he was a consultant for Arthur Andersen and Deloitte from 1997 to 2001. He graduated from College of Europe and from the University of Law and Political Science of Strasbourg. Patrick, thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for these words, for these kind words, and I'm very happy to be with you today. I will first put my video on so that you can see me, from Brussels. And if it is possible, I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. If this PowerPoint presentation can be shown, this would be excellent. Thank you very much. So now you can see me, and good morning, everybody. So maybe if we can go to the PowerPoint presentation that I sent.
Oh, Patrick, do you want us to?
Yes, please, if possible. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, give us just a second, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So my presentation will be about our EU policy for the social economy, the development of social entrepreneurship in the European Union, how we'll deal with this, and the projects that we are currently working on. And maybe this is, a good opportunity, especially, for the people that are present to see, what can be done in order to improve, the ecosystem, and how to stimulate the development of the social entrepreneurship. So maybe I can already. So I don't know if, thank you very much. If we go to the second slide, we will begin. So the question is, of course, what are social enterprises? Let's say that in the European Union, since the Social Business Initiative, we have launched dedicated policy, on social enterprise. And for us, we consider social enterprise really as, first of all, are businesses, and those kind of businesses, they are trading in the market, they create economic value, but of course they have as well, an ethical basis. So and you can find, social enterprise in different areas, and they create jobs, they improve social inclusion, and they really build, social capital. They have a number of barriers. I will discuss with you, then which kind of barriers, that they have, and this is where, the EU and member state government in the EU, have worked a lot, since 2011. What needs to be said, is that social enterprise, indeed, they take various legal forms in different countries around Europe. For example, you have solidarity enterprises, cooperative, limited liability social cooperative. You have forms in Italy, France, Portugal, Greece, social purpose, collective interest companies, community interest companies in the United Kingdom, just to name some of them. As I mentioned, social enterprise are really active in a wide spectrum of activities: social services, education, housing, environment, culture, tourism. I mean, let's say that they are everywhere in the economy. And social enterprise, again, this is what I mentioned, at the beginning, is that they have really this entrepreneurial approach, and they pursue, a social mission. Many of them have limited profit orientation, or non-for-profit for some of them. They have a democratic and participative governance system. If we go now to the the next slide, we see that it's good, that we are pushing, for the development of social enterprises, but we need to build an ecosystem that works for social enterprise development. And I think that this ecosystem consists of 5 main components: legal and regularity framework, access to finance, access to market, business support, skills training, and education. If we go to the first one, legal and regulatory framework, we see that such kind of policy, is a priority. Maybe sometimes in some member states, there is a clear willingness to establish clear legal definition of social enterprise, let's say, in order to govern issues, such as tax treatment, access to market, access to public business development support. Social enterprise development is a very context specific. It is shaped, and this is important to see that it is really shaped by a wider culture and historical development patterns. The development of appropriate legal, regulatory, and fiscal framework must therefore emerge from national and local environment in which, let's say, social enterprise operate. Let's say that at the same time, such framework must be adapted, to the organizational form that this social enterprise may take. Sometimes in some countries, this is something that we have seen, even if an appropriate legal framework is needed, it's important to carefully evaluate whether new legislation is needed or the adaptation of existing framework is a better solution. So important to think about a legal and regulatory framework which will bring clarity, visibility, and recognition to social enterprise. Once we have this, we need to think about, okay, we have a legal, we have a regulatory framework. What about the access to finance? And this is indeed key. We must help social enterprise have access to finance. Access to capital is vital to the creation of a social enterprise, as it is to the creation of most new businesses. We see that social enterprise are typically financed by a combination of market resources, like, of course, the sales of goods, services, non-market resources as well, government subsidies, grant, private donation made by foundation, and non-monetary resources. For example, people that decided to work for them, volunteering work, for example. We have seen that the landscape of social enterprise finance is evolving rapidly, and it includes debt, equity, quasi-equity, guarantees, and even now, this new form of social impact bonds. So The role of government, is shifting from that of order so that, it can be a catalyst, It's important that we have, the public support, but it's important, that this public support work with the private support, to create adequate financial scheme for the development of social enterprises. Access to finance, we have seen it, but we need to think about access to market as well. And access to market is important. How can we stimulate the development of access to market? If we want a startup to grow, it needs to have, access to market. This is important. It has to be developed in order to be this company to be more self-sustaining. We have seen a number of barriers in social enterprise to have access to markets, and one of the barriers is really the limited managerial capacity without social economy organization and enterprise, to build effective strategy to enter the market. So there are some examples of social enterprise that have successfully created web portals, platforms to sell their products. So this is where we need to help. Another key issue, a key element, this is public procurement. It's key for social enterprise to have access to markets. And public procurement in the European Union represents approximately 16% of GDP. And therefore, this can be an important source of revenue for such enterprises. So again, this is something that we have to work on access to market. Fourth element, business support structure. Again, it's important that such enterprises receive dedicated support. How can they receive it? Then this is where we clearly see a role, for incubators, hubs, consulting, mentoring, supporting prototypes creation. These are really, the key actors that are important for them. And it's key, for other services like public services to co-found hubs or incubators. Last topic, skills, training, education. We need to skill social enterprises, management. We need to upgrade, their capacities, to be the best, let's say. This is why, what is important is that both the public sectors needs to support, skills, training, and education. We need, for example, to work with social economy stakeholders, on the local, on the regional side, to discuss with them, to see how we can create, really skills, schemes that will be important for social enterprise to develop. So this is, let's say, the theory. Now let's go to the next slide into the practice. And the practice is, what are we doing? What is the European Commission doing to support this? Legal and regulatory framework, what have we done? Well, we have helped, member states for policy review. It's important that member states, regional authorities know how to support social entrepreneurship in their region, in their localities, in their countries. We decided to map the situation so that they know exactly where are, opportunities, weaknesses, so that they can act. With the OECD, we have developed what we call the Better Entrepreneurship tool. And the Better Entrepreneurship tool, this is something that is very, very important, because this tool that exists now is an online tool designed for policymakers and other interest parties at local, regional, and national level. We wish to explore how public policy can support youth, women, migrants, unemployed in business creation and self-employment. The objective is really to stimulate reflection on inclusive social entrepreneurship policies, to promote learning through international good practices, and enhance inclusive and social entrepreneurship policy design and implementation. So, important tool. I will send you, in the chat box, the link, so that you will be able to have a look and maybe to see if this can help. This is really a good instrument to shape better policies, better public policies to the support of social entrepreneurship. Access to finance. For access to finance, what have we done those last year? We have developed regional funds. We call it the European Social Fund, the European Regional Development Fund, and they are key to really build a strong financial marketplace for social enterprises. What we need to understand is that we need to increase, their capacity to work with the financial sector. We can give grants. We can create, for example, a financial instrument. This is the InvestEU, where we decided to work with banks, with guarantee institutions to support, the development of financial instrument for social enterprises, whatever their life cycle is. Seed finance, startup finance, expansion finance. We need to work with public authorities at the European level. They need to work with financial institutions that are located, in member states to create, the right instrument for the right moment for these social enterprises. So this is something that we are working on. We will continue to work. And this is important to notice that access to finance can be grants, but it can be as well, financial instrument. And we need to make social entrepreneurs aware that it's important to receive grant, but it's important, to work with the market to develop social enterprises using financial instrument. Access to market now, the third element. I was presenting, the public procurement, and I think that it's key, for us, to develop public procurement, and especially socially responsible public procurement in the EU. Since 2014, there is a European law, a directive, about public procurement. And one part of this law, one part of this directive is about socially responsible procurement. It invites member states, region, public authorities that are buying, to take into consideration, social enterprise. So we decided to invite member states, regional authorities, really to insert what we call reserved contract for social enterprises. It's not an obligation, it's just an invitation. We invite them to be aware that it's a possibility. So what have we done? We have developed guides. We went to different member states, especially, to work with them to make public purchasers aware that they can do this kind of things, that they can have private, specific reserved market for social enterprises. And this is something that we will continue to work. It's important to train member states and to train public purchasers in member states, and at the same time to make social economy organization aware that this exists and they should apply. They should bid for such kind of possibility of procurement. Fourth element, business support structure. This is what we have done, especially those last year. We have what we call the Europe Enterprise Network. Social enterprise require business support. However, let's say that one size fits all approach to business support that expects social enterprise, we cannot do it. It's important, that we support really, those who know social enterprise, like Impact Hub. So we are working with them. We have set up recently, some grant agreement with this organization so that they can better support social entrepreneur and social enterprise. On the other hand, another network, which is the European Enterprise Network, is really there to help them, to find their way, in all this EU legislation. How can EU legislation have an impact, on the development of my company, of my social enterprise? So you will have, such kind of actors in different member states, really helpful for a social enterprise, to be developed. And on skills, on training and education, we are currently working with member states and social enterprise organization for a pact for skills. This is where we want to develop, let's say, a culture of lifelong learning for all social economy organizations and social enterprises. We want to build strong skills partnerships. We want to monitor skill supply and demand and really anticipate with them skills needs, in social enterprises. On education, what we want to do, this is the EIA. We want to develop the enterprise for youth entrepreneur, Erasmus for youth, for young entrepreneurs. Sorry, this is important. That if you have an idea, if you want, to have, to be more skills, then with this program, this Erasmus for young entrepreneur, you can go to another EU country for 7 months to acquire these skills, because you are going to work, in a company from 2 months till 6 months. So it's important to have, a training really on the job. So this is what we are doing. So legal and regulatory framework, working on access to finance, on access to markets. We are supporting the development of business support structure in the EU, working on skills training and on education. And now if you go to the next slide, which is about really our agenda. I will be short on this. We have done a lot, but there are still a lot to be done. We are currently preparing an action plan for the social economy. This action plan will be released on the 8th of December. And again, it will pave the way for new action, new project, to develop the social economy in the European Union, but there will be a dedicated chapter on, let's say, neighborhood countries and international relations. So this is important maybe for the Balkan region, because there may be some action, dedicated action for you, for the organizations, that are, located, in your region, in your countries, to help to develop the social economy and social enterprise. With this action plan, what we want to do, we want to develop what we call a pathway for the proximity and social economy ecosystem. In 2 words, this is action that we will co-create with stakeholders, especially for the twin transition, the green and the digital transition. It's really about, working with them to develop this action and to say, okay, we need to have, now, an industrial strategy that is more sustainable. We need to act on greening the industry, greening and digitalizing the industry. And we know that social enterprises can be, a key component of this new industrial strategy. We are going to work with them as of next December during 7 months to define specific strategy for green and digital transition. And the last is, of course, communicating and raising awareness of the social economy and social enterprise. Of course, it's important for us to diffuse this information, work with all the, let's say, social enterprise to understand what are the main problems, what kind of projects they have, how to finance this project. And this is something that is currently that we are currently doing, and we want to continue to shape, let's say, the social economy landscape, in Europe with all the actors. Better project needs better finance, needs better support. We are there to support the development of social entrepreneurship and social economy in Europe. We want to work with our neighboring countries, and I think that in the months that are coming, we will continue to do this, especially with our European action for the social economy. So I will not enter into too many details. This is a kind of landscape of what we have done, what we are doing, and where we want to go with our policies and with our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Thank you for the overview. Actually, I see it as a source of inspiration for us, the non-state actors, but hopefully also for the government representatives in this forum, because you laid out some very important developments that are taking place at the EU level. Almost all of them resonate with the efforts of the actors in the Western Balkans. In particular, it was also a request in the chat about the social responsibility public procurement directive, because this is something that, in fact, all the actors at the meso level in the Balkans are trying to promote with respective governments, exactly for the same reasons that you said. So as a region following the European path, I think it sets objective a target for us also to reach in terms of the policy development. And thank you also in terms of, let's say, announcing the formal date of the action plan. And hopefully we'll see there is more space for Western Balkans in this action plan of the European Union. Thank you, Mr. Klein. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to Ms. Maja Handiska-Trendafilova. She is the head of program department at the Regional Cooperation Council, leading the coordination of the Common Regional Market Agenda, as endorsed by Western Balkans prime ministers. Prior, she has held the position of CE 2020 Strategy and Regional Economic Area Coordinator, senior expert on inclusive growth and connectivity within RCC, working on various regional cooperation, consensus, confidence, and capacity building initiatives across a range of multidisciplinary policy areas. Her professional career of over 15 years, drawing upon a regional and international multilateral experience, has been dedicated to furthering the EU agenda and regional cooperation processes of CEE. She has an over decade-long experience with the national administration, where she led programming process for the use of EU funds and coordinated the cross-border programs. Her insights into the Europeanization and EU alignment processes has also been generated during her diplomatic service within the Macedonian mission to the EU in Brussels. Further to her diplomatic expertise, she has also worked on program development, partnership, and resource mobilization in the areas of migration management for IOM. Before I give the floor to Ms. Trendafilova, I also want to take your attention regarding the Q&A. We will have a Q&A at the end of this panel, but in the meantime, if you have questions about respective presentations, please feel free to put them in the chat box in your own language, because we'll have the translators translate them in other languages of the region, and we'll take them at the very end of the presentation of Ms. Trendafilova. Ms. Trendafilova, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning also from so foggy Sarajevo here today. So thank you for extending the invitation to RCC. And actually, the regional economic integration agenda that we spearhead is an important enabler for the development of the startup ecosystem in our region. And as it is typically the case, small steps ultimately lead to giant leaps. So it is the small enterprises that are the ones that develop innovative practices are also in the helm of driving the necessary structural changes. So particularly in the context that we all find ourselves today in, so the context of the pandemic, the transition towards green and digital economy in line with the European practices and standards is now necessary more than ever. And actually this transition requires the formation of new business models with the SMEs and startups playing a key role. So regional industrial development is crucial for the growth of our particular geography. So in the Western Balkan region, as industry constitutes 22% of the gross added value of the region, so preceded only by the services sector. So that is why, backed by digitalization, startups and SMEs will be the central piece of the dual transition that our region should embark on towards green and digital economy. So to make our economies as green and as inclusive as possible, so enterprises are in a need to digitalize their processes in order, of course, to speed up the delivery of the services as well as to reduce waste and of course, promote the use of renewables along the way. So let me come more concretely to the agenda that we in RCC lead and contextualize it a bit more to our region of Western Balkan. So the regional industrial area pillar, as part of this common regional market action plan that our leaders endorsed a year ago in Sofia, aims at bringing enhanced networking and of course these better linkages and connections between the clients and the suppliers. And let me give you an illustration. For instance, the Regional Development Supplier Program that is implemented together with the Chambers Investment Forum of the Western Balkans as a regional action under this pillar aims at enabling greater outreach to SMEs in the region and of course tailor-made support in searching for business and funding opportunities. So what does this do? It seeks to enhance the number of SMEs that are able to meet the requirements for the European buyers and investors by tackling some of the challenges that, of course, might hamper the access to the European value chain. So we are talking about innovation efforts, addressing skills gap, improving quality infrastructure, enhancing services related to standardization, testing, calibration, and similar. So within this area, great emphasis, of course, is placed on strengthening the nearshoring models to open the opportunities for developing joint products by the local and foreign companies, and of course, to exchange the know-how to be able to have a joint position, joint lobby towards the common business interest. So this strong emphasis on networking that we are supporting through the common regional market agenda means that we in RCC facilitate the establishment of regional networks of green startups, women entrepreneurs, young graduates with excellent business ideas, while of course at the same time collaborating with the existing clusters and different programs. So despite this daunting pandemic that is upon all of us, actually the regional innovation and startup ecosystem fares well, with Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Serbia seeing developments in their innovation landscapes according to the latest European Innovation Scoreboard that was recently launched. So all our Western Balkans economies are emerging innovators. This is the positive side. However, for instance, when we survey the pulses of the businesses and our citizens in the region as part of our flagship Balkan Barometer, for instance, what we saw in the 2021 edition, less than half of the businesses in the region are satisfied with the range of the preconditions for development of innovation, including the policies that promote and encourage innovative activities and of course support innovative ideas from public and private sources. So only 1 out of the 5 businesses that we have surveyed have received public support either through central or local level for their innovation activities in 2020, and only 1 in 6 have received support from the EU funds. So here we see ample room for improving the state of play. So we in RCC also seek to support the growth of startups and SMEs, particularly in this post-pandemic environment, through some practical, symbolic, if I may say, instruments, because of course our financial capabilities are not of the type of a national state or the EU funds. But let me walk you through some of the examples, because I think that this will be inspiring for our audience, and they can, of course, join us in the next edition. For instance, this year, we organized the Futurismo competition. So it was a competition, and it will, of course, continue. It's a regular one that seeks innovative digital solutions to help mitigate the impact of the pandemic that heavily affected our tourism sector. So digital innovative solutions in the area of regional tourism development. For a second year in a row, for instance, we are organizing Balkathon, which is an online competition on smart digital solutions to help, of course, the region, again, on the recovery, but even wider, boosting the potential of startups and SMEs to better compete, to expand their activities. And let me just inform you that some of the solutions that were awarded were in the area of e-commerce, e-health, e-transportations, bio solutions, etc. This December, we are going to organize the Butterfly Innovation Award, again promoting innovative approaches and solutions that make significant market or social value, encourage the circulation of the technical and social innovation, and create regional visibility platform that puts an emphasis on the need for innovative solutions. So of course, while the R&D aspect is integral to the development of businesses, the elements of nearshoring can help smooth out the supply chain, of course, get to the market faster and run it through a highly controlled and safe process. So let me wrap up, coming back to the core of RCC's agenda. So the Common Regional Market Action Plan that we are tasked by the leaders to coordinate also helps to unleash and strengthen the potentials of the creative industries. And this is something I also wanted to raise your attention to, and their integration into the European and global value chains. And actually 4 out of our 6 economies are top 10 creative good exporters among the transition economies, with growth annual rates of close to 8% in the period, for instance, of a decade between 2005 and 2015. So there is this substantial trade potential of creative goods in the Western Balkans. And just as an illustration, for instance, Serbia is the second biggest export market for Albania's creative goods and North Macedonia's top export partner for creative goods. So this joint regional approach for RCC is the way to go. And the reason why we in RCC really much insist on the regional segment is precisely because the region is more competitive for attracting, developing, scaling up investments, and for the retention of what are the existing strategic investment leads than, of course, our single individual economies. So the benefits of attracting strategic investments in the region, of course, ultimately supports the economic growth and allows for these new ideas, products, services, and even business models to penetrate the region, throughout our region of 6, through the startups, eventually, of course, creating new and decent green jobs and being the driving force behind the economic growth. So on RCC's behalf, we are really happy to be able to contribute to this agenda, particularly with regards to the regional policy reform dialogue and capacity building, because these are our main instruments, because this is the level that we usually work at the intergovernmental level. So I'm stopping here, Juliana, thanking you very much for the opportunity, and also saying that we are very happy that the platforms such as the ones that actually brings us all here today, the Dual Partners Invest, emerge, take hold, develop, flourish. And I'm really also particularly looking forward to the breakout sessions, because I think that this is the essence of our today's event. So thank you very much, and looking forward for the further discussions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your very holistic, I would say, overview of what RCC is doing in the region, because you are a key development partner for all of us, as your main mandate is the Western Balkans. And thank you for sharing the latest development regarding your strategy in the field. I have many questions, in fact, but we are like 10 minutes late, and I wanted to not take much time, but I hope that if we have questions from the audience, but also from us as organizers, maybe we can address them to you and Patrick in writing, and then they will be circulated as part of the conference endorsement. Do you agree with that? Yeah.
Sure. We are here, so we'll be able to take them even further.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.